Hello. How you doing though? That was like half English, half redneck. That was weird. I got too many voices. I've actually been planning on making this video for about a week. I have a list of videos. They don't always fall in order. Um, but I have been planning on making this one for about a week on my to-make video list. Interestingly enough, the news kind of broke today that Canon is discontinuing the 5D line of their DSLRs, and it's only by happenstance that that information leaked out today, that's the end of Canon's most popular line. Of course, everything's going mirrorless now. And by entitling this video DSLR Doom, which is what I plan on titling it, doesn't mean obviously that DSLRs are dead. That would be as stupid as saying after the first few digital cameras that film cameras are dead, and that of course is obnoxiously not true, and that would be clickbait. And it's always the case that the last days of old technology are always way better than the first days of new technology. And all DSLR digital cameras by definition are mirrorless cameras. You know, the mirror flips out of the way when the shot is captured, so a mirror is not connected in any way, shape, or form to the actual image. A mirror, as you may or may not know, obviously passes light through the pentaprism to your eye. And there are very, very few scant advantages of DSLRs. And I have tons and tons, and have owned many, countless tons of DSLRs, and still do. But the advantages of mirrorless are absolutely undeniable. The only place, and I'm only using Nikon as an example, the only place that Nikon DSLRs have a serious advantage is, well, three things, but ultimately two things in no particular order. And Canon also too has this advantage, and Canon actually makes the best tilt shift lenses for product photography, but they're primarily for architecture, interior and exterior, and also somewhat so for landscapes. So Canon and Nikon have that advantage over any other mirrorless system, period. They also too have an advantage over Sony and Fujifilm in hardcore sports action wildlife. Even though Sony has a big prime now, their big 400mm, even though it's a junky lens, Sony nor Fujifilm can step to Canon and Nikon for super hardcore sports action wildlife. That doesn't really comprise an enormous amount of photography, but it does of professional photography. However, next year Fujifilm is coming out with a 300mm f4 and a 500mm 5.6, and they already have the 200mm f2, which I own. The buffers are deeper on pro-level DSLRs from Canon and Nikon. This is also too absolutely undeniable. But mirrorless advantages are many, countless. If you don't know what they are, you should investigate it. For video, there's just no doubt. Nikon actually has a patent of a hybrid DSLR where the mirror would flip up out of the way and the EVF would turn on at the front of the pentaprism, and it would act perfectly as both a DSLR and a mirrorless camera. Why their lazy butts haven't implemented that, only a small team of people in Japan can tell you. But DSLR's doom is there. I mean, the first 3, 4, 5 years of digital photography, all the film people were scoffing. Rightly so, partially so, but I mean, the writing was on the wall. The writing for DSLRs are on the wall. The death nail of DSLRs is here. I just sold off one of my favorite DSLRs of all time, which is a Nikon D500. My second one, I'm filming with a D500 right now. I sold off one of my Nikon D4s, and interestingly enough, I sold off my Nikon D850. And that's not because of DSLR's doom, if you will, in this video. It's because I bought a farm, and I basically used every penny I have, including selling a lot of stuff, to be able to buy that little miniature farm. And so I sold off some of my redundant cameras, you know, to make ends meet and pay the bills. So I sold off 4 cameras: D850, Nikon D500, one of my Nikon D4s, my old Fujifilm X-T2, and a very, very few lenses. Copies, like the 18 to 135 copy, or my second copy of this lens. An 18 to 55, also a copy. And one of my 105 f2DC Nicors to a friend of mine out in California. But the writing is well on the wall. And starting next year in 2021, and I already know essentially, other than the fine details of what the XH2 is going to be, not that the XT4 doesn't have an incredible buffer, but it's going to be a 43 megapixel sensor in the Fujifilm XH2. Which you don't really need 43 megapixels on a crop sensor, but nevertheless. And they're going to have a 300mm f4 and a 500 5.6, and that in conjunction with the 200mm f2 and the amazing video features. I mean, really too, and tons of working, whether you take my word for it or not, tons of hardcore working professionals, including a couple that I won't name to you. One that uses Fujifilm a lot. I mean, even the guy has like 5 Pro Nikons. Been shooting with him for decades. He won't pick up his Nikons anymore. He just can't. After you use and get used to a very quality mirrorless camera, Fujifilm, not Sony, you go back to a DSLR, you really feel like, you know, you stepped out of your air-conditioned house with electricity and cable TV into like a backwoods cabin. It literally does feel like that. It's like, huh. You went and hit a button so you could preview your image through your viewfinder. It's like, oh wait, it's an optical viewfinder. I forgot. I can't look at my images, which is very, very helpful when it's bright and sunny outside. But DSLRs still hold that advantage for tilt shift capability, and they hold the advantage for ultra hardcore sports action wildlife. The battery issue has been solved. The EVF refresh issue on early mirrorless has been solved. The buffer is 90% there of even the Pro, Nikon, and Canon DSLRs. I've said since day one that it's absolute poppycock and BS that mirrorless is smaller. The cameras are, but the glass is the glass is the glass. But with Fujifilm, my 102 megapixel GFX camera, and my favorite camera that I've ever owned in my entire life, my GFX 50R, it is my favorite camera of all time. Combined with the XT4, do 95, and I am still a working photographer. I mean, I only average about 5 to 6 jobs a month. Last month was only 4, though, actually. I am still a working photographer. I do everything now with Fujifilm. Also, the other great thing, of course, is with the autofocus adapters. I can take the best of the best that Nikon made, like the 108 AIS, countless lenses, and adapt them to Fujifilm. Not all of them adapt so well. I still have tons of fun taking my Nikon D4 out, and I only have one Nikon D4 since I shipped it out today, a Nikon D4, to a guy that bought it from me. Sold it too cheap, probably. But I can't believe I actually sold off. How many Nikons did I sell off? I sold off D500, shipped it out today. I sold off a Nikon D4, sold off my Nikon D850. I sold off my X-T2 Fujifilm, which I really didn't want to part with. But I still have 7 Fujifilm cameras. But I only have 4 Nikons now. I love Nikon as much as I ever did, and I still have many hundreds of lenses, Nikkor lenses. But I don't sell anything. I don't have any affiliate links to anything. But I'll tell you right now that while DSLRs are not dead, they're putting the lid on the coffin as we speak. And next year they're going to start nailing the nails into the lid of the coffin of DSLRs. It's mirroring exactly everything that happened with film and when digital came out. Now it's digital, DSLR versus mirrorless camera. This is not my opinion, it really is a fact. And considering what's going on in the world and the massive shrinkage of the camera market, what's happening with digital cameras in general is the same thing that happened to film when digital really hit the scene. What happened with film when digital hit hardcore Because once the Nikon D3 came out, really everybody that loved film right to the core was like, yeah, film is dead pretty much. Film's dead. That was really it. When the Nikon D3 is like, this is it, man. Screw film. I'm tired of sticking my hands in chemicals. The only thing that survived with film and still continues to survive is the pro hardcore stuff in film, which was medium format and large format. And it's still kind of the case now, even though it's tapered off quite a lot. It's medium format, large format. You never see anybody with a 35mm film camera unless they're like a hardcore film nerd. I mean, that stuff is dead as P-H-U-C-K. It is dead. The same thing is happening with digital, with the major shrinkage of the camera market. The really serious stuff, like the X-T4 and medium format. Fujifilm made all the right choices, by the way. They have the hardcore on both ends. They own medium format. And they own crop sensor professional mirrorless. They do. They own it. Even if you hate Fujifilm, Fujifilm undeniably owns medium format, and they undeniably own DX crop sensor, which is perfect for video. You know, like the Blackmagic camera is basically, it's a different size. It's a Super 35 size. But, you know, all the video stuff is not FX sensor. I mean, basically none of it is. So, yeah, but the lid is being put on the coffin of DSLRs, and that really is true and undeniable. And I only waited till now, instead of like a year or 2 years ago, that I can actually say that. And there's nothing that you're going to do to this, say against this video in the comments section, because you can't step to what I told you, because it's true. You know, all the rest of these talking head schmucks on YouTube, and I have no respect for any of them, because they're all pimps and shills, and they really are reprehensible creatures. I really don't have any respect for them. I just don't. They're not good people. They were saying it years ago, but it's absolutely true that DSLRs... But that doesn't mean, that DSLRs are going anywhere. When digital hit hard and everybody knew that digital was it, didn't change anything about someone enjoying their Hasselblad or their 6.7 Pentax or shooting film. However, film is a real pain in the ass. People that still love film are the people that haven't shot enough film. The only way I would shoot film again is if 4x5 or 8x10 E6 negatives were cheap, but they're not. A 4x5 E6 negative costs a fortune. He's like, you press the shutter release button and it was $30. It's like if you made a mistake, it was $30. And it's only getting more and more expensive. I wish they would bring back, I really wish they would bring back 4x5 and 8x10 chromes. Oh my God, those things are just absolutely pure silk, sex and sugar. There's nothing like it. But now I'm ruminating unnecessarily. Yeah, but the writing is on the wall for DSLRs. They are doomed. But that doesn't mean, they're going anywhere in the next few years, and neither did film. But the writing is on the wall. So I will now shut the hell up, and as the English say, bugger off. Thanks. Hope you like these videos. If so, let me know in the description below. And have a good day. Bye.